Today on the Morning Edition, it's President's Day, and while the legislature is closed, a groundbreaking bill remains in the spotlight. The proposal would give sexual assault victims more control over how their cases move forward, and we're tracking the latest developments.
President Donald Trump continues his full-throttle attempt to slash the federal workforce. I'm Jared Hill with how layoffs and job cuts are impacting Americans across the nation.
And later, healing through play for kids who lost homes and schools to wildfires. A special camp is helping them find hope again as the Morning Edition starts now. Good Monday morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with us today. It is President's Day, so that does mean most banks, federal buildings, and the post office is closed today, so just a heads up.
And if you are heading out and about later today, we do have warmer conditions. They've been building in through the weekend. We're already seeing temperatures this morning hovering near freezing in many locations. It's going to be a warm week across South Central, really a good portion of the state as we begin to tap into some of those warmer conditions. We're currently at 30 degrees at Ted Stevens with winds out of the north at 6 miles per hour. So we are seeing a slight wind chill this morning. Overall, not too terrible as you step outside. Now, as you head through the interior out towards the slope, this is where we're still holding on to those temperatures remaining below zero. 17 below in Kotzebue, 18 below in Dead Horse. Winds have died down. Those blizzard warnings we did see last week for parts of the slope, those have subsided, and we're expected to see a lot quieter conditions, although cold weather does remain through the remainder of the day. 33 in Palmer, 31 degrees in Kenai, 5 degrees in Golcana, and then notice from Valdez out towards Cordova, we're seeing a rain-snow mix, primarily expecting to hold on to some rain for coastal regions as this weather pattern continues to favor warmer conditions across a large portion of South Central. Can't rule out a few localized areas of some wintry mix near the coast, but overall we are going to continue to hold on to the stretch of some rain that carries us here over the next couple of days and primarily impacts coastal regions. This is where we could pick up several inches of rainfall accumulation here over the next couple of days. By tomorrow morning or late tonight, you can see parts of the Prince William Sound already seeing upwards, if not more, than an inch of rainfall. So really favoring western Prince William Sound as well as eastern parts of the Kenai River. We're going to see some of that heavier rainfall. Inland areas, we could squeeze out the potential for some rain-snow mix later this week. Overall, though, continuing to favor those warmer conditions. I'll have more on that in that 7-day forecast coming up.
This morning, federal workers in Alaska wake up to uncertainty as mass layoffs continue to grow. Dozens have already lost their jobs, while others fear they could be next. Dozens of U.S. Forest Service employees in Alaska were informed last week that their jobs would be terminated if they were still in their probationary period. Now, as the work week begins, many other federal workers in the state worry they could be next. Jillian Jablonski, one of the employees affected, said she received positive performance reviews and was told by her supervisor that she would be kept on after her probationary period. Despite that assurance, she received her layoff notice while on vacation just weeks after that conversation.
When I got home, it was more of the reality is setting in. And it's certainly a little bit scarier to just suddenly be unemployed. And it's like I've never in my life been suddenly unemployed and not have a job lined up. So definitely feeling a little nervous and a little bit scared.
Before the mass layoffs, Jablonski said her department was already understaffed and struggling without seasonal employees. Now she's looking for a new job. Federal employee Morgan Saldino, speaking on her own behalf, expressed her concern about losing her position. She received an email about a list of probationary employees that had been passed on and now also fears for her job security.
We have been stressed. It's not getting any easier, but we're doing our best to kind of show up and do our jobs every day. It's really disheartening to see the public, a lot of people in the public, either not understanding or caring about what's going on or actively rooting for it when really we're all just trying to show up and do our jobs every day.
Saldino says she's worried but still holding on to hope. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told members of the press that layoffs will help Americans save quite a bit of money.
75,000 people accepted the buyout program. That's going to save millions of dollars for the American taxpayers, and that's exactly what we wanted.
The most recent numbers from the Alaska Department of Labor and Workforce Development show Alaska employs just over 15,000 federal employees. According to the Associated Press, nationwide layoffs began Thursday evening with probationary employees. The Department of Veterans Affairs, Education Department, and CDC are among some of those agencies who have already been hit with layoffs. In Alaska, Senator Lisa Murkowski confirmed dozens and possibly over 100 Alaskans have been fired so far. Murkowski writing, quote, "Many of these abrupt terminations will do more harm than good, stunting opportunities in Alaska and leaving holes in our communities." She described the potential for harm to good people and Alaska communities, noting specifically losses to energy and mineral development, wildfire management, and tourism. Turning now to Capitol coverage, it's President's Day, so of course the legislature halls are empty this morning, but we are tracking the progress of a bill aimed at giving sexual assault victims more control over what happens after their examination.
It condenses the timeline for the crime lab and law enforcement, and it establishes a timeline for the nurses for health care. And it gives the victims a statutory right to be able to access and track that information.
If passed, the bill would establish strict timelines for healthcare providers to complete exams, law enforcement to collect evidence, and labs to process it. Victims would also be able to track their kits at every step, a move advocates call a major win for survivors.
When you're sexually assaulted, you are stripped of every ounce of control over yourself. And to be able to have something now returned to my control and to be able to, by myself, I don't have to ask anybody's permission. I don't have to feel bad about interrupting somebody else's day. Being able to look and see where it is, whether that's at midnight or at 4 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon, it gives something back to me as a person.
The bill is now being passed to the Finance Committee. Morton anticipates it'll be successful. New this morning, troopers are searching for a missing snow machiner who never made it to his destination. According to troopers, 40-year-old John Booth left Noatak around 3 p.m. on February 14th, heading to Kotzebue, but hasn't been heard from since. He was riding a blue Polaris 550 Voyager, pulling a blue sled and wearing a camo jacket with black ski pants. Ground teams from Noatak and Kotzebue have scoured multiple trails, and a state trooper plane flew over Sunday, but no sign of Booth. As search efforts continue, anyone with information should contact troopers immediately. A deadly fire in Wasilla left one woman dead over the weekend. According to the Department of Public Safety, a state trooper on patrol in Meadow Lakes was flagged down Saturday evening about a structure fire. The trooper tried to enter but was blocked by smoke, heat, and debris. Firefighters arrived and found the body of Mary Van Waveren of Wasilla inside. Next of kin have been notified. Investigators say there are no signs of foul play, but the cause remains under investigation. An invasive fish species has taken over a popular fishing spot in the Mat-Su. Last May, the northern pike was spotted in Finger Lake. Because it was the end of spawning season, Fish and Game decided to wait to handle the species. Now they're using nets to remove the fish before they become permanent. Officials say if the fish take hold, stronger measures would be needed.
Once they become established in a system this big, really the only option to get rid of them would be a chemical treatment.
Now, using a chemical treatment on the lake is something they're looking to avoid. The team is working day by day with net operations. If they believe the fish has become established, they say they may begin to alter the fish stocked in the lake. An Anchorage man is raising money to help reunite lost pets with their owners. David Jensen is a well-known pet photographer who started a project called 907 Chip. The project aims to install outdoor microchip scanners around town so that people can have access to them 24/7 when they find a lost pet.
Your pet could leave at 3 in the afternoon, but someone might find it at 3 in the morning. And having this as another tool is just, I think, going to be a lot more convenient and a lot more helpful. And hopefully it'll encourage other people to help rescue dogs that are out on the streets.
Jensen is raising money for the cause. If you'd like more information on 907 CHIP, you'll find a link on our website. Still ahead on the Morning Edition, a legend's final brushstroke. For nearly 50 years, Alaskan artist John Van Zyl has captured the spirit of the Iditarod through his iconic posters. Now he's releasing his final piece, why this last work holds special meaning.
Active weather stays with us across the Gulf of Alaska, where we're seeing widespread rain for coastal regions. I'll have more on that, as well as the warm weather we'll see this week. But first, at sunrise, 8:34 in Anchorage, 7:23 in Juneau. Your full forecast is next.
Welcome back. 13 minutes past the hour on this Monday. Aaron, how are we starting off our week weather-wise?
Well, temperature-wise, it certainly is a warmer one compared to where we've spent really the last 2 weeks. And despite this stretch of cooler weather, we've really been handed a nice round of some sunny conditions, really, as we welcomed in the first 2 weeks of February. And then as we went through the latter portion of last week, we began to see that pattern shift underway, and that brought in some warmer conditions. You can see the weekend was slightly above average. And then as we went into yesterday, that's where we really began to see those temperatures ramp up across South Central. And we're still on the warmer side this morning. 3 degrees warmer in Anchorage, 16 degrees warmer in King Salmon, out towards Nome, Bethel. Even as you head towards parts of western Alaska, temperatures continuing to warm compared to where we've been sitting at on the colder side. Now, notice areas from the interior out towards the slope. This is where we're still holding on to some of those cooler conditions. And the overall forecast continues to favor parts of the slope out towards the northwest Arctic borough will continue to have these cooler conditions. Now, looking at the overall forecast for the rest of this month, South Central, Southeast, we have a decent shot of seeing daily highs climbing well into the 30s, even seeing some 40s looking possible as we continue to progress through the rest of February. Some flurries can't be ruled out today for inland locations. Overall, though, we are going to see those temperatures warming above freezing. We've got that rain staying in the forecast for coastal regions. It kind of tapers off throughout the afternoon hours and then picks right back up into the evening as we continue to see waves of activity building into the Gulf of Alaska. While we are largely dry today for Southeast, you can see as we welcome in your Tuesday on into your Wednesday, widespread rain as well as some areas of rain and snow will build into Southeast. So we're going to continue to see this uptick in precipitation across a large portion of South Central and Southeast through the rest of this week. Now, inland areas, we could see some wintry mix, not as good of a chance of seeing some rain in the forecast. You can see really staying on the isolated to scattered side as we'll largely be shielded from the mountains. But those clouds thicken up today across Southeast, 30s and 40s to be expected. Some breezy winds as you head through Taya Inlet and Lynn Canal. We've got that coastal rain across the Kenai, 40 degrees in Seward, 38 degrees in Soldotna through Prince William Sound. Those temperatures warming above freezing. Valdez may hold on to snowfall through most of the day, although later this evening, that is where we'll see that chance for a transition to rain if it does occur. 23 degrees in Golcana, the valley, seeing those building clouds. We will see some sunshine peaks throughout the day. You can see those temperatures warming near 40 degrees. And check out those overnight lows, also staying fairly warm, with many locations likely staying in the 20s through the overnight hours. That 7-day forecast, you can see inland locations, again, largely on the drier side. Can't rule out a few isolated, scattered areas of wintry mix later this week as those clouds continue to thicken up. But you can see daily highs pushing the mid to upper 30s. Will likely stay around the mid to upper 30s through the rest of this month. Overnight lows even staying on the warmer side as well. So if you're a fan of that warmer weather, the rest of this month certainly shaping up to be one of the a warmer one.
All right, thanks, Aaron. For nearly half a century, John Van Zyl has brought the Iditarod to life through his art. Each brushstroke captures the strength of the dogs, the challenges of the trail, and the spirit of the race. Now, as Eric Soul reports, he is creating his final Iditarod poster.
This image here, the face, was in the very first poster.
Alaskan artist John Van Zyl ran the Iditarod twice in the 1970s, and it inspired him.
And then, of course, these are some of my favorite dogs.
This painting is the 2025 Iditarod poster. The 49th year Van Zyl has created one.
It's Pikaki. She was probably the best leader I've ever had.
It's also his last year painting the poster.
My first race was in '76. And when I came back from the race, I did 20 paintings about my experiences. And then the next year, I started the Iditarod posters to give money to Iditarod because they were broke.
When Van Zyl created the first poster, his favorite, by the way, He had no idea it would become a 49-year-long series.
It just never crossed my mind.
An amazing feat.
And a typical, artist probably have a 25, 35-year career.
Van Zyl would like to point out that he paints more than dogs.
He will tell me that painting the Iditarod has been a small part of his artistic life, but actually to have that many years in continuing is really phenomenal.
His artwork has certainly left its mark on the race.
Yeah, I hope so.
He's not giving up painting. He and his wife, Jana, are focusing on supporting different areas of the Iditarod.
We're still doing a lot of things with the Iditarod Historic Trail people, the national group. We're doing a lot with the Junior Iditarod. We're doing a lot with the Teachers on the Trail.
Van Zyl wanted his last poster to be special.
And this is the biggest original for the posters I've ever done.
Right down to the name of it, Embers.
Embers, as most of you guys know, is the end of a fire. So this is the end of a fire.
It's just a monumental piece of artwork.
And if you're curious about the price for the original painting of John Van Zyl's 49th Iditarod poster, the Georgia Blue Gallery has it listed at $49,000. Eric Soule, Alaska's news source.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically and stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.